Well, we spent the day with the X5500 today, and we got a chance to try every feasible nozzle needle combination in the RP and the HVLP, and we learned some things. We learned a lot of things. We learned the way we paint, what's going to work for us.
Right.
And I think every painter, by watching their attitude, watching how they handle the gun in the booth, you're going to be able to pretty much narrow in which nozzle needle combo he's going to need and which gun he's going to prefer.
And what he's spraying, if he's spraying water, if he's spraying solvent. You know, everybody's brands, their clear spray different, they're different solids. So it's going to be so much easier to dial stuff in for guys that are spraying one brand all the time, and you can watch their speed, their distance, you know, how good their overlaps are. These guns are going to make some heroes out of guys.
Well, I think what I saw, what was nice is no matter how many combinations, we went in a range from 1.20, 1.2i, 1.30i, 1.40i. No matter what we picked, we could make it look good.
Right.
Everything worked, but it was just a matter of narrowing it down. What did you feel? What felt better in your hand? What did you like better? And I think for me, the biggest surprise or pleasant surprise was the fact that John's always been an RP guy. And today we walked out of there after spraying candies, base coats, and clear coats, and urethane candies. The 1.40 in that HVLP looked great.
Oh yeah.
And it seemed simple. And so
you know, there's no noise coming out of these guns anyway. They're much quieter than the 5000, and that's been proven that they've quieted the gun, which is a big thing.
The swivel's awesome.
And the swivel attachment. You always walked around your booth with a twisted up hose.
Yeah.
That's over.
Yeah.
And not only that, the gun feels much lighter in your hand
You
with
know,
the
that's
swivel. There's no torquing from the hose.
For
There's
being
no
the
torque from
same
hose.
body
More comfortable.
as the 5000, that gun feels more comfortable.
well, and the cool part is there's a couple things. Number one, the finish that's on this,
Yeah.
it feels so nice in your
Yeah.
hand.
Comfortable.
That it gives you a perception of less weight, and
Yeah.
it just feels better. Also, with these air caps now, having that air cap so that inside you don't need, there's no snap ring out
To
front.
mess with
So this comes
for cleaning.
right out. So, but what that also did, and when they took away, so they're behind the fluid tip, there's no air distribution ring anymore. So the air distribution ring is machined into the fluid tip and into the air cap, or into the body. So now it's recessed a little deeper, and I think it pulled that fluid tip, maybe not a lot, but slightly further back into the, I don't know if that.
And that was
because
a
of the
maintenance
weight.
item that's gone.
Yeah, and I don't know if that just because of the weight of that, if that slide backwards a little bit, if that helped with the comfortability, but the gun does feel more comfortable.
I wonder if
Balanced.
that's.
It feels very balanced.
Yeah.
It's very.
I wonder if that
easy
helped
to
with the
operate.
noise of the gun too.
Well, yes, I'm sure it had. And just having the air distribution ring not there, but recessing it back into the gun body, they made a lot of changes,
And
obviously. in the
even
drillings.
and how you don't have to super tighten that fluid tip any longer.
Right.
I mean, that just
Yeah,
needs to be
without-
snug
Right.
because of the new machine work. That's all a big deal. I used to hammer that on the bench, you know, and remember Tony telling me, man, you're not torquing that down hard enough, you know. But now that's not an issue any longer with the new machining.
Just everything about the RP and the HVLP, everything it feels so much easier to paint with now.
Well, and to tell you, no matter which gun you grab, the RP or the HVLP, I think that the application of pearls and flakes has been absolutely fantastic. These guns have gone way beyond that application.
Well,
I think that's one of the things I think they really strive for was this is a true pearl and flake application.
And I think the eye is going to be the trick for that, because it's a lot easier to control. It seems to be a lot better pattern for doing that, for getting stuff on even in the.
What we're talking about on the eye pattern is a direct pattern with no bow.
Right.
And then you've got the O pattern, which has a bow, which is the old gun way, and it's the way it's always been for a lot of people. But what we found, I think, with the HVLP is, with this new gun, it puts on the clear without the orange peel effect that you get with that extra air. I mean, and the delivery of the material, particle size, is identical between the RP, or very, very close.
It's pretty close.
The delivery is slightly different.
Yep.
The amount of
But
material.
the pattern's the same.
The RP is just slightly more
Pattern's the same
material.
height.
application.
And,
Yeah, it's
and
gonna
the
be-
air volume through the HVLP is more
Yeah.
than the RP, but the RP condenses it and brings it to 18 pounds at the cap where this is 10.
Yeah.
And that, you saw the slickness of the clear coats we put on. It was unbelievable.
We were talking a little bit about this tip being in here, so literally now I made it finger tight, but you put this wrench on there and I just give it and then when you screw that air cap on, the air cap on the 5000 and this gun is just less than one revolution. So when I'm putting that on, now what's
Remember, you
nice.
always told me you wanted the writing so it could be read?
Yeah, you do. I still do.
Still want to do that, because
Yeah.
that's the way the needles and
That's
nozzles
the- and that's the
are
way-
aligned.
but that's also the way when they do their final test, that's the way they test it.
Right.
And they won't let something leave the
They don't leave the plant without a
Unless it's
perfect
perfect,
pattern
right.
in every gun.
right? So what, I guess the biggest thing is that I want to make sure we talk about with these X guns. It's hard to pick wrong. What's nice about it is you can choose the one that you think you're going to use. And if you're a loyal SATA user, the O may tend to be more the usual for you in the way it feels. But if you're going to waterborne for the first time or been spraying water, now we have that eye nozzle that when you're in a wet, humid climate, the eye nozzle is going to spread it out and help evaporate that water better. But when we were
Because
spraying,
of the volume.
but when we were spraying your base, or whether it was a candy base coat or just a base coat or whatever we're spraying base, the O nozzle works really nice because it gets it wet and it's even and it's solvent. But when we were spraying some difficult stuff, where we're putting a lot of pearls and even some of the metajoules, and then trying to put pearls over metajoules and trying the eye seemed to make that lay down pretty even.
Yeah, it's not as chunky looking as like the 5000 or the 4000, the
Right.
previous guns.
Remember, we were doing everything at full trigger pull with
Right.
5 patterns.
Right.
And the pattern on this
We didn't-
gun is what, 14 inches at
Box.
6-8 inches
We
away?
didn't finesse it.
We didn't
Yeah.
finesse
We
it,
pushed
we
it.
didn't trigger
Yeah.
anything down, or
We made it happen.
And we rarely use the fan control to bring the material down.
Never.
Just use the material knob to
Right.
bring the fan down.
Right.
What I think is also nice on these guns is where SATA put that fan control. They're up high enough where they're not in your way. And when you're painting, you're literally, if you're holding onto this spray gun, you can't bump that. And they made it tense enough where it doesn't change.
Even a
it's-
southpaw.
And it's with the left hand, you're on the other side, and you're nowhere near that fan control. I like how
No.
they have that.
I remember
high.
how I hit the one that came out on the 5, and
Yep.
you said they came out with another knob.
That was the
to
4,000.
prevent-
That was the
Was that
4,000.
the 4 that
The
I complained
4,000.
about?
Yeah, and that one only was a quarter turn knob, and it
That
turned
one,
really
that was
easy.
why.
Way too
So
I
fast.
remember I was reaching up on the roof of a car and I went to a spot.
Right.
And I went, whoa, man.
Yeah, but on the X guns and on the 5000s, what's nice though, if you do need to reach them, it's not a long, uncomfortable reach with your thumb.
Like if
It's
you
just-
have to
you're
go down to
right-handed.
something to get into
Tight area, yeah.
around a parking light or
Right.
something on like the Camaro rear valances where they suck the lights back in there, you.
So I mean, I think that part of it, they did a great job with it. Everybody that we've been spraying with feels good about that. If you don't have a digital gauge in the handle, and you've got an atom on the back, you only have your adjustments here. And they really, even when you gotta get underneath something,
It's
overhead,
amazing, yeah.
it doesn't get in your way. And I think that's
Right.
nice, and neither does the fan
I did
control.
not have a problem with it, even over gripping.
Right. All right,
You grip
so,
it anyway, and
And it's
still
actually,
comfortable.
it actually works to your advantage if you need a little bit of leverage on the gun. If you really need to get back, if you just got that knob on the back and you got a digital,
yeah, you don't have the
now you're up against this
Right.
to get yourself down here doing this. Well, this thing just gives you a little bit more balance, so now you can really hang off the back of that gun
Right.
when you're getting down and then
Well, the rockers always roll down, and that's when the
Yeah.
guys have to overgrip the guns and
Tip them.
And you seldom see it happening when
And
you watch
usually
these
they don't.
TV shows. My God,
Usually
I'm
they
going, how do these guys ever make it?
their customers are all really tall and they can't get down
Got
that
to be
far.
something there.
So they
But
have lifts.
yeah, well, that's the thing. And I do have one of those lifts in my booth where I can lift the car up,
Yep.
a couple feet, and that makes a big, big difference.
The other thing to make sure when you snap that center of that air cap in, it goes in and it catches the snap ring that's built now into the ring and into the edge of the air cap. Just make sure it's fully forward so there's not a gap.
Right. Needs to be flush with the ring.
Just make sure it's flush and then it screws right on. But what I really like now that we don't have that snap ring around the front of that
Yeah.
anymore is now when you tighten this, that thing
Right.
can't move. It's
Right.
tight because we're not pressing against a spring clip.
Right.
And so now
That wears out.
So now the air cap center and the air cap ring are always in the same perfect place, and they always line up perfectly with the fluid tip because there's no flex that you could change or alter.
So there's a
now
lot of breakthrough technology in this
Yeah.
weapon here. Probably the finest gun they've ever produced.
Did you know,
Totally agree.
every time you pull the trigger on one of these guns, it spins the needle?
the spring inside turns that so that it never wears.
So you don't
so
wear the needle
not
back.
wearing in one
Because I was
spot.
warning
Did you know
everybody,
that?
don't take out the
That
fluid
is
tip
cool.
without pulling the trigger back.
Right, yeah, you need to do that.
Or
So it's not
removing the
report-
nozzle, because
Right.
that
Every time
can
you
cause
try to-
wear on the
It's
needle.
not trying to
Every
knock
time you
itself
pull it,
into the
it
same
spins the
spot
needle.
all the time and wearing in.
Yeah, so
This
that
way it
spring,
keeps
the way
it
it's got
fresh.
the twist on it, every time you pull that, it turns and that needle rotates around as it's being used.
So it wears properly.
Yeah.
You don't
Wears
get
all
any
evenly
elliptic
on
wear,
there,
yeah.
Very cool.
How
No,
good
we're-
is that?
Yeah, now we're excited. I think the durability, the coating, everything that they've done with this
The
gun.
color.
The
I like
durability,
that.
the
I like
color's
the
really
color
cool.
too.
It's comfortable. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, it's
Well, one
called,
thing that I
they're
did-
called the color Umbra.
I just had a guy, architectural guy, come in and he wanted me to match a color close to that for store fixtures or something, and I said,
Yeah.
Bob, well, I don't know how you do that.
With
How you
automotive
do that.
paint.
We'll ship all the sword
Not
fixtures
with
over to
automotive
SATA.
paint.
Yeah.
Because automotive paint's got too much glamour, it doesn't come in with that.
Oversee, that's gonna be Ron's job, is to make this color.
There you go.
Give me about 10 minutes.
Can be done.
Yeah,
very
it
cool.
looks a lot like
Got some black in it.
Cerakote
Yeah, it does.
color.
If the truck that I build for myself when I get done with this Hell Camino, the wheels I'm getting are that
Look how-
bronze.
That, it looks
I
like,
like
a,
that
it looks a
look.
bit
I
like
like
that
that
burnt
look.
bronze, like a burnt bronze, almost like a little bit like some of the weapons you see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jared at Valley Customs doing a lot of Cerakote on
Yeah,
Harley
that's
parts. That
kinda what it
color.
looks like. Yep.
It's pretty badass.
Well, I'm excited.
What was
to
it,
have-
electroless
Oh.
nickel also had a neat look to it, but
Yeah.
it's more gold.
Yeah.
I'm just glad we got to have all you guys here. That was cool to have this house.
It was the most fun I've had in a long
This was
time,
awesome.
working with these
And,
guns.
and,
Well, because it pumps you up for what you do and gets you excited.
And we're pretty
About
excited. We
getting
got
into some
that.
project.
We
It
got
makes-
to grab Flea to be on our team now, so we're happy. This is a good.
I think
thing.
it made his day. He's a
Oh, yeah.
happy
So we're
camper.
happy.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
So, all right.
He's
well, thanks,
part of the
everybody.
team.
Very cool.